We have with us Mr. Harsh Roongta, investment advisor and founder, www.harshroongta.com. Thank you very much, sir, for being with us here on NDTV Profit. Good to have you on the show today. What's your view on the two IPOs that have opened today, considering the pipeline that we've had so far as far as the IPO market is concerned?
So, good morning. I think the key issue in any IPO is that obviously it has to be two kinds of investment. One, it's part of your equity portfolio, in which case you would look at each IPO differently, versus a very small portion that you might keep to do a sort of play on a particular position. I'm assuming that most people who are investing in the IPO typically would want to make listing gains and get out. I think that really is the thing that, because otherwise, in the long run, both companies are pretty good. I mean, one in the pharma space, it's, I think, among the top 5 pharma companies in India. In the healthcare space, Dr. Lal Pathlabs would probably be the only company of its kind that would be listed, and I think the fundamentals are pretty good. In terms of if your thing is that you just want to do what shall we say, a listing gain and then sell, probably if you have to choose between the two, I think Alkem is definitely among a better bet among the two. Although I think, and even in terms of valuation, although I think you can probably do both, I think the basic fundamentals are pretty good.
Basic fundamentals are good, so both of them are looking great. But if you compare, then of course you're finding Alkem better. Do you think for Dr. Lal the offer price is a bit expensive? Is that the reason probably why you're saying, or why? I mean, do you like Alkem better than Dr. Lal?
So I think clearly, one, obviously valuations are a lot fuller already in the price that Dr. Lal Pathlabs is asking. That's one. Two, it's in an industry which is dominated by small players, fragmented players, and so therefore entry barriers are very low, and therefore competition can be there, although it has had a excellent track record of growth, both in the top line as well as the bottom line. So that's the reason. I think primarily you can point it down to valuation between the two, clearly.
Okay, so valuation a key concern. But Mr. Roongta, what we've seen, at least in the past IPOs that have come so far, many of, at least some of them have been successful as well, like Interglobe Aviation and even Coffee Day for that matter. But the retail subscription has remained pretty low. So in this one, do you think, there would be enough interest from the retail space as well, considering the past two IPOs that have just gone by and the kind of performance, at least with Interglobe, that we've seen so far?
I think there is definitely more interest in these two IPOs. They've also been, they've also been extensively covered by the broking houses as well as the media. So I think the retail participation this time would be better than what we had seen in the earlier cases.
What are you really suggesting to your clients at this point in time, as far as investment in the IPO market is concerned? What's your view?
So, as I said right at the beginning, I think unless you have money specifically earmarked for this kind of investing, I would not recommend the investment at all, the IPO market at all. So we would have clients who have small amounts of money kept aside for investing in these kind of opportunities. And for them, we are suggesting both.
Okay, so you're suggesting both. We are also likely to see many more IPOs which are in the pipeline at this point in time. So going forward, what would you really recommend to those who do have that money kept aside for investment in the IPO? It should only be till the listing gain, or there is further scope if we do see companies like what we have right now, Dr. Lal and Alkem, to stay invested in them for some more time?
Clearly, yes. I think both the companies look quite good for the long term as well. My perspective that I just gave is from a listing gains perspective, and I think when people are asking for advice, also they are looking at immediate listing gains. So I think if your perspective is immediate listing gains, maybe a very good company, if its valuations are stretched, might not be advised. And some other company which may not otherwise have very, very strong fundamentals, but still whose valuation is good, might be advised. So as long as you're looking for listing gains, the advice could be different from than if you're looking for a long-term hold.
So for a long term, for somebody who's looking to stay in it for a long term, what would be your advice?
So, I mean, to the extent you want to put it in equity, I think clearly on pharma, I am quite, would be quite bullish on Alkem. I don't really have a view on Dr. Lal Pathlabs. I can't claim to be able to give an advice on that.
Okay, not a problem. Now, since we have you with us right now, I also wanted to slip in one question on the gold monetization scheme. I mean, how do you really find it as an investment tool at this point in time and the kind of response it has got so far?
I think gold monetization scheme is an excellent scheme, both from the perspective of the person who is will put in his gold in this scheme, as well as from the government or the country's perspective. Clearly, I think the big issue is operational. The number of centers at which you can tender. So clearly, I think as the operational issues pan out, the larger holders, people like the temple trusts, etc., which are holding on to large quantities, they will be able to overcome the operational problems and be able to tender gold in the scheme. For the retail participation, I think the operational issues would have to be ironed out to a much larger degree. And there is a move that almost 13,000 jewelers across the country will probably be able to accept gold. I think when that happens, you will see far more enthusiastic participation. It's an excellent scheme. The country needs it. It is good for the people who hold gold, that now instead of holding on to gold that does not earn you anything, you will now be able to hold on to gold that will also earn you in gold. So I think it's an excellent scheme where it's a win on both sides.
All right, Mr. Roongta, we'll leave it there, but appreciate you joining us here on NDTV Profit and sharing with us your thoughts on the two big IPOs clearly that are coming out today. So listing gain is something that one can expect because both the companies, both the IPOs look pretty strong at this point in time, and his views on gold monetization, that also turns out to be that it is looking like an excellent scheme at this point in time.